Good evening. Welcome to the 7th session of the Data Liaison. We should have an interpret present tonight. So if he or she joined the meeting as an attendee, please raise your hand. And then we will make sure that we assign you as interpreter.
Looks like Sylvie, the interpreter, is here.
There we are. Now we should have interpretation available. You should see that on your screen. Please click on the button interpretation to choose your language. Don't hesitate to select the English language, even if you are if this meeting will be in English, just in case there is a question in Spanish. That way you will be able to hear the translation into English. So thank you, Silvina Fernandez, for providing the translation tonight. Si necesita la traducción de esta reunión en español, por favor, presiona el botón interpretación abajo de su pantalla para seleccionar el idioma español directamente. One that being said, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining our 7th session of Data Liaison program. Tonight we will talk about dashboard or how to display information in a nice and comprehensive way. This is a feature that we use more and more at the city, and Eva is really one of our experts in the city, so we are lucky to benefit from her experience tonight. Before jumping in the training, I want to welcome the new Data Liaison that joined the program recently. We had a few neighborhood councils that have appointed a new Data Liaison. So welcome. If you missed the previous session, which is possible, no problem. Don't hesitate to have a look at the Data Liaison website. So I will just share my screen very quickly. There you can see this is the Data Liaison website, and you can complete the training, the previous training, by just visiting the different pages from session 2 to session 6. On each of the pages, you always have the training material that was made available ahead of time in order to complete the training, and also the recording of the session where we discussed the same matter that then training, the self-paced training. We usually will also make available the transcript, the chat, and the Q&A, and the link to the different data sets if they are needed to complete the training. Also, we want to inform you that we have a survey for you. So at the end of the training, when you will close this window, a pop-up window will come on with directly access to a survey 123 survey. Please complete that survey. We will also share the link later by email to all the participants. Tonight, we want to make sure that we will be done before 6:30, because I know that some of you want to attend the town hall meeting organized by the Board of Neighborhood Commissioner at 6:30. So I think I spoke enough. Please, Eva, the floor is yours. Eva is our Deputy Chief Data Officer of the city, and she's spending also most of her time working on the ArcGIS Online. And she has completed the amazing dashboard that are now available to the public. Eva, please go ahead.
Thanks, Julian. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the How to Make Dashboards workshop. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can get started. I'm going to be looking to my left a little where my, I guess, monitor is. It's not that I'm not paying attention. I'm just looking at my monitor. So letting you all know that right now. So how to make dashboards in ArcGIS Online. We're going to walk through this together. I have some steps documented on the slides, and what I'll do is just walk through and then jump over into ArcGIS Online so that we can do it in real time. All right. So what we're going to build today is what's called an operations dashboard. I had previously built this one that you're looking at right now. It has Black-owned businesses clustered by type, and an underlying map of PPP and microloans by neighborhood council. There's also another tab in the map where you can see a stacked bar chart of PPP loans by race and ethnicity. And then there's I guess an indicator widget right here where you can see per capita income at the neighborhood council level. So this is an operations dashboard, and this is just one example of what you can do with it. You know, I will leave it to you to come up with other ideas for how you could, use an operations dashboard for your purposes. So before we get started, I also want to let you know that we'll be posting this slide deck, and there will be links to the video and the lessons that you can follow at your own pace. These are produced by Esri, so you may find these helpful if you just want more resources. All right, so these are the data sources that we're going to be working with. We're going to start off with a layer of Black-owned businesses in Los Angeles that we basically scraped from a couple of different lists from the LA Times and Eager and other news publications. We scraped that, dumped it into a spreadsheet. And then we also pulled from Yelp's API. So Yelp has a category now where you can check that off. So we were able to export around 600 Black-owned businesses. Another layer that we'll be using is a layer of microloans and PPP loans by neighborhood council. So I did the work of combining the two and aggregating them at the neighborhood council level. So that's going to serve as the base map. And then another layer we'll be using is per capita income by neighborhood council. Julian did the work of summarizing this at that geography. And finally, we will be working with a layer on PPP loans in Los Angeles so that you can create that stacked bar chart that you saw in the previous slide. So getting started, we're going to open the microloans and PPP loans by neighborhood council layer. So let me just drop those links into the chat so that you can follow along.
I can help you with that if you want.
Oh, that would be great if you could do that, Julian. Okay. And I will sign in. All right. So we have the microloans and PPP loans by neighborhood council. And what we're going to do is add in, I'm doing everything after ID equals. I'm going to add in, search for layers, my organization. Okay, let me me try typing that in. Is this? Okay. Try. All right, why is this not showing up?
Eva, can you look for in your group, in my groups? Maybe because now that they are in the data liaison group.
Okay.
No, look for a black hole.
Here we go. Thank you. All right, so this is how we'll get started. We just have a map of the PPP loans by neighborhood council and a map of Black-owned businesses as point data that's layered on top of it. So once you have that set, what we're going to do is click Share, Create Web App, Operations Dashboard. So well, actually, you'll want to save it first. So we'll give this a name of test. I'll do test number 2 for me. Okay, so once I've saved it, I'm going to share the map and click Create a Web App. And then I'm going to click ArcGIS Dashboards and done. And so that will open up the dashboard interface. And so automatically it'll just populate with the web map that you had previously saved. Now it's into an operations dashboard. And so from here on out, we'll be in the dashboards interface. So how to make your map interactive. So in the upper right corner, we're going to click the plus sign and add a list element to the dashboard. So here, you're going to see list. And what we'll want to do is use the microloans and PPP loans by neighborhood council. So that's going to bring in that underlying base map. And so what you'll see here is essentially all the neighborhood councils and a heat map. The darker green it gets, the more loans the neighborhood received. So what we'll want to do is change the maximum features displayed. There are 99 neighborhood councils, so we'll make this 99. Let's see. And then we're going to go to list. And here you can kind of change the way that the list appears. So if you click on these curly brackets with the dot inside, you can add another field. So I'm going to scroll down. I'm very familiar with this data set, so I know we have a column dedicated to the microloans for that neighborhood council. And we also have the number of PPP loans. And then we have it summarized here. So I'm going to do the sum of all loans. So what I'll do is just write total loans and an equal sign. And then you'll be able to see just visually the number of loans that neighborhood received between the city's microloan program and the federal PPP loan program. Oops. And then finally, under actions, what we'll want to do is make this interactive. So what we can do is click zoom. So add target the map. So basically when you click on a list element, it will zoom into that neighborhood on the map. Again, when you click on a neighborhood in this list, it'll zoom to that neighborhood on the map. So that makes it a little more interactive. So to save this all, I'll click done. And there we have it. We have a list of all the neighborhood councils. Let's go to Studio City, and we're able to zoom into the map where we can see just the Black-owned businesses that are listed and the total number of loans. You can also click and drag the panels so that you decide how the layout appears. So what I'll do is click back out and sort of narrow this list panel. Great, so let's add some more charts. So we're gonna click plus again and add a serial chart. So this plus sign in the upper right-hand corner. And then we're going to do serial chart. And so for this, we'll want to use the PPP loan layer. So that's, let's see, let's find it. Just click on that here. Okay, so it's called SBA PPP. SBA. Here we go. All right, so I selected the correct layer. And so now what we're going to do is create the second tab on the chart. We're going to work on a stacked bar chart that shows PPP loans by amount and also by race and ethnicity. So again, in the final version, I'm just showing you what it will look like. You'll have basically a stacked bar chart in order of amounts with a color-coded race and ethnicity chart. So, all right, let's go back to the list. So we selected the layer. We're going to group by loan range and split by race and ethnicity. So grouped values, the category that we're going to group by is the loan amount. And we're going to split the loan amount by race and ethnicity. There we go. Then we're going to sort by loan range. So this puts it in order. And then we're going to select category axis and then load the categories. So back here in the left-hand panel, you'll see category axis. So what we're going to do is get rid of the leading letter on the x-axis here. So we're going to load categories and just delete those leading letters. It was just in the data set that the federal government provided, so we don't really need that. So we're going to delete it. And then we're going to select series stacked. So going back here on the left-hand panel, after doing that, we're going to select series and stacked. So we have a stacked bar chart. Great. And you know what? I'm going to switch around the order. Just for me, it's easy to visualize from lowest to highest amount. So if you go back to the first data button, you can decide whether you want to sort ascending or descending. Done. So great. Now we have a stacked bar chart of PPP loans that are by neighborhood and stacked in order of grouped by amounts. And they also have race and ethnicity data associated with it. So what you're going to do to basically stack these charts on top of each other, you're going to go to the upper left-hand corner and you'll see this icon with 4 arrows. Click on it and drag the item and just hover it over the map. And there you'll have a tab. So now you have a tab where it's basically behind the original map. Great. So now we're going to add some dynamic indicators. So that's the per capita income box right there. So basically what we'll do is click on the plus sign and add an indicator. So over here, plus indicator. And we are going to look for the per capita income layer. So this is per capita income summarized by neighborhood council. Okay, it has a weird name, Enriched JA Housing Income Health Poverty. So I'm going to select that. That's the per capita income layer. So now we need to just make some alterations here. So select value type, feature, value field, 2019 per capita income, maximum features displayed 1. So value type feature, the field is going to be the per capita income from 2019. And we're just going to display it one at a time so that you can select a neighborhood council and it'll change based on the neighborhood selected. Then we're going to go to select indicator. So over here on the left-hand side, indicator. And we're going to do minimum decimal places 0, max 3, so that we can see the full number, not a summary. And we'll get rid of unit prefix, deselect that. So again, minimal decimal 0, max 3. So that's going to enable you to see the full number. So typically you'll have about a 5-digit number for the per capita income for a neighborhood. So that's why you'll want those 3 decimals and unit prefix off. So now you'll start to see the per capita income by neighborhood. So navigate to the edit button and select, okay. So we'll do that in 1 second. All right, so now we have the indicator. And again, I'm gonna drag the item below another element on this dashboard. So I want it beneath the list. So I'm just gonna play around with the size here so that it's not as big. So now it's just in the bottom right-hand corner and it's just a little indicator box. So in order to make this dynamic, meaning that it changes as the selection on the list changes, we will want to add some actions to the list. So when we go to the list, let me slow that down for you. When we go to the upper right-hand corner of the list element, we'll see a little wheel that says configure. So you want to click on configure and go to actions. And so what we'll want to do is add an action. So we'll want to filter the indicator and we'll want it to be a spatial relationship. So basically the name, I guess it'll be a spatial filter. So when you click on that neighborhood council name, it'll filter based on the spatial relationship. Okay. All right. And so now when you select, the per capita income should change. So Studio City has per capita income of 109. Let's see. Let's do Watts, per capita income of 16,000. Let's see. Let's do Koreatown, per capita income of 19,833 based on 2019 data. So now it's dynamic and the indicator will change because it's tied to the selection on the list. Let's see. So finally, I think what we'll want to do is probably just make some cosmetic changes at this point. So I think what we'll want to do is have a legend on the map. So I'm just clicking on the upper left-hand corner of the map, and I'm going to click on configure, and I'm just going to turn on the legend so that folks can see, you know, basically what they're looking at. You know, what does each color correspond to, and what does each color in the neighborhood council underlying layer correspond to. So you can do it that way. You can also, if you look at this wheel up at the very top, you can add, let's see, actually, no, sorry, it's the plus sign. You can also add a map legend that way as well. So that just adds it. It basically just makes it a permanent feature of the dashboard. So I've just added that in as a permanent feature. So it's a column now that is always appearing. And I've just made it smaller so it's right aligned and not taking up too much space. Finally, I think, you know, there's some cosmetic things you can do, like give each section a title. And, you know, in order to do that, I just encourage you to play around with configure. So what you'll want to do is, you know, give this, let's see, top text, per capita income. Let's see, I'll make that small. So you can start to just put text in so folks know what they're looking at when they look at each item on the dashboard. So for here as well, we can just add a title. I think it's under general. PPP loans by amount and race ethnicity. Yep, so there we go. And the final step would be to just save it so that you can make it publicly visible. So I'll stop there and see if there are any questions.
Maybe Eva, if I can just add something about make it publicly visible. It's like any resource that you create on ArcGIS Online, you have different level of sharing. You can share it with nobody, so just you can see it. You can share it with your group, or you can share it with your organization, or you can share it with the whole planet. And so in that case, it's visible from anybody having access to ArcGIS Online. And that will be when you will have access to your content. You will be able to select the way you want to share these assets from your content.
Thanks. I just dropped in a link to the slide deck so folks can, you know, retrace my steps. But yeah, I just wanted to see if there are any questions.
So yeah, there is a question from Jamie, and I think it's a good question even during the meeting. I'm curious about how to integrate data from outside data source like you did with Yelp data formatting. So Do you want to answer the question, Eva?
Yeah, so on this project, we exported the data from Yelp, but then we had to standardize it a bit so that we would have uniform categories. So that enabled us to basically color code businesses by type. So each color dot on the map corresponds to a different type of business, whether it's a restaurant or a gym or a shopping center. The colors of the dots correspond to a different type of business. So we had to do some standardization there. So yeah, I would say, anytime you're working with outside data, sometimes it's messy. I mean, a lot of times data in the real world is messy, and to prevent your audience from being overloaded with you could have endless amounts of colors, but I think what you'll ultimately want to do is try to bucket things as much as possible, and standardize the categories so that you only have a few different colors being visualized on the map, so it's not overwhelming to the eye.
Yeah, and maybe just I think we saw in the previous session that once you have the data that are clean on the spreadsheet, you can import the spreadsheet directly in ArcGIS Online using the add item feature, add item from your computer. And it is important that if you have a location in your data set, that you really make sure that you use a longitude, latitude, or you use an address, and the address has to be well written, so that way the geocoder will be able to identify and create a pin on the map for that exact location. But yeah, you can import data like this. And if you want to scrape data, sometimes there is API that are make the work easy. Sometimes it's a bit more complicated. You need to use a program like Python, and that will go read neighbor console. That will go read website, and that will scrape all the data from the website. And that is a little bit more complicated. And Jamie, you want a sample of a spreadsheet? Yes, we can find you that. I tried to make you to find a spreadsheet that I used in the past to import information.
Yeah, I just dropped a link into the Black-owned businesses list on our the Kraga Open Data Portal. So, I mean, you could download that as a spreadsheet as well if you want to try playing around with that.
Thank you, Eva, for that.
But yeah, I mean, I think operations dashboards are great when you want to have, I don't know, I think when you want to tell a story with data and you want to have some just high level metrics that are helpful in decision making, policy making, or program decisions. So I think they're really, operations dashboards are really great for those sort of reasons.
And also, I think that Eva said something important is don't hesitate to play with it, to go in the different menus, sub-menu, because there is a lot of customization that is possible. Eva presented a different feature, but there's also there's other things that you can add. You can really graph, you can, and if you want to even go further, now you can even code a little bit in to have some indicators. So it's still getting updated, and there's more and more feature coming. Also, you can have a sidebar where you have a filter. You can filter, so that all that is made available now, and that can really help the user to play with your data sets and to have its own vision of the data set and to see indicators the way they want, the way they're interested. Eva was doing a good job, showing that you can click on the neighborhood council because you are interested by your neighborhood council, and that way you can directly see all the information regarding your neighborhood council. And you don't need to do 99 dashboard. With one dashboard, you can you can do that, and the user can play with that. Of course, in our case, we see the system, the whole neighborhood council system, and interested by the 99. Maybe you might be more interested by what's going on in your within your neighborhood council, and then the filter might be different. Maybe the filter can be on different kind of businesses if you're looking into businesses, or you're looking on different categories of matters that affect your community. That can be the different filters that you can use, or geographically also, if you want to focus on your whole region, your neighborhood and the neighborhood. That is something that also you can do, and dashboards are really convenient for that.
Yeah, so I would say, COVID dashboard, I guess operations dashboards are great for tracking progress or tracking like how things are developing. So, one example, if you wanted to try this out on your own time, we have some COVID data posted here. I'll drop it into the chat. But for example, you could recreate that, just following the steps that I laid out. You could create a COVID dashboard where you select a neighborhood and then the data is filtered based on that neighborhood selection. So I just dropped a link to all the COVID data that we have, but that's just, one idea for, what you could do with an operations dashboard.
Jamie also asked if the column titles are finicky as heck. So actually, tell me if it is your feedback also, Eva, but ArcGIS is kind of cool with the format of the column, the header. It goes quite well. It's maybe the biggest challenge is to make sure, for example, the addresses are properly written. So it recognizes the address, it recognizes the actual geographic location. That might be the challenge, but that's really directly according to your data sets and the quality of your data sets. There was a good question that was asked by Philip through the Q&A. So Philip wanted to have copies of all the data set that have fields for neighborhood councils. So most of the time when we create such a layer, we make them available publicly. So if you go, when you are on your map and you add layer, at the very beginning, after adding layer, you need to select the environment where you want to look for new layers. And you can just select ArcGIS Online, and that way you will see all the layers that are publicly available. And if you type neighborhood council or NC, usually you should have a good bunch of them. That might be a lot. Be careful. And so you may have to go a little bit through all the different layers. Some of them might not be interesting at all for you. And also you can create layers. There is a function in the analysis feature, which is layer enrichment or enrich layer. And that's a really great feature if you want to get data per neighborhood council. You just add the layer, which is a layer of the neighborhood council system. So you have a layer with the 99 polygons. And then you add any kind of demographic information, economic information that Esri make available to you through the enrich layer. And that way you can really create data per neighborhood council. I don't think that we have other question. Most of our session run overtime. So maybe this time we can end a little bit earlier for every time we ended too late. So if you have questions, as always, don't hesitate to send us an email at data@empowerla.org. Also, don't forget that when you will close that window, there is, I hope there will be a survey that will pop up. And I really invite you to complete that survey. The idea of the survey is to get your feedback on the data liaison program and how to improve it. And that will help us for the future. Also, we don't have any more sessions that are scheduled in the coming weeks. I think it's important that we consolidate all our knowledge on the different skills and features that we have presented during the last 6 sessions. Nevertheless, we are considering having kind of office hours where we would welcome anybody that has a question that is working on something specific or something that is not understood. I think it's an opportunity for any of you to ask us your questions. So we will communicate very soon the next dates and hours for such an office session.
And I just saw Philip ask a question about, I guess it was a very specific question about available affordable housing units. So I think that's something, there's a displacement index that the mayor's office worked on, which we can circulate, I guess, later, or you can search for it online. But basically, the mayor's office looked at I think it was available listings and median incomes for the area. So anytime listings exceeded 30% of the area's median income, it was deemed unaffordable. So that's also, I think, HUD's technical definition for what constitutes affordable housing. That's anything less than 30%. So you could, update that. That data project came out 2 years ago, but, if you had Zillow data and, the latest census data on median incomes, you could sort of recreate that and see at the neighborhood level, which neighborhoods have affordable housing.
And I wonder if there was not a data set of the affordable housing units in the past. I don't know how old it is, if it is maintained, but that's something that Philip, I invite you to have a look in ArcGIS Online. And also, when you have an existing data set with different dots, it is very easy to assign each dot to a neighborhood council by using the analysis feature, the intersect. I think it's analysis feature, find the location, and then it's you use an intersection of 2 layers. So when a pin intersect a polygon, that way that match. But if you want, we can have a look at that more precisely.
Great. All right, well, thank you all. It was great presenting to you tonight, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
Thank you very much, Eva. Thank you all for all the time that you dedicate to this and for your community. And hope to see you very soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.